I really hope my teammates don't feel like I've let them down.
She's played in 2 World Cup finals, she's won the Six Nations, couple of Grand Slams too, she's captained her country and she's won the Premier 15s. But Red Roses lock and Bristol Bears lock Abbie Ward might be about to face her toughest challenge yet, motherhood. So, as much as I don't want to bring it up, we have to quickly talk about Rugby World Cup 21. Agonising defeat to the Black Ferns. But then you very quickly find out that you're pregnant. So how was that emotional roller coaster for you?
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. Obviously, it was absolutely heartbreaking not be able to get the result that we wanted in the final. But I think finding out, great news like this, you have no time to feel sorry for yourself, and it gives you a whole new perspective on things.
When did you kind of decide or start to seriously think about, right, it's time to start a family, and how was that planning process?
Me and Dave always knew that we wanted a family. I think for anyone, as much as you might try and plan, you never know how things are going to work out. You just don't. And I think timing is, no one can ever choose their timing. I think a massive aim for me is the next World Cup, a home World Cup. I've been quite ambitious, in terms of what I've said I want to do, and, want to get back for that first game of the Premiership in November, if possible. I know it's going to be really, really hard, but I feel like I've got the best setup around me in order to kind of achieve that. I want to get back playing, not just for myself and my family, but to show the other girls coming through that it can be done. Because, up until now, you had to retire to start a family or end your career early in order to start a family, whereas hopefully gone are those days. Hopefully, you can now, players feel like they've got the support, they've got the structure in place to be able to have a family, be pregnant, be a mum, and still be an athlete.
So let's talk about the support then, because again, like we say, this is a bit of a different scenario. So at what stage along the journey did you kind of have to start sharing news? Because like you say, you had to kind of tailor your training and what you could do.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm lucky in that Dave, my husband, is the head coach at Bristol. So the head coach knew very early on, obviously. Because I didn't really know what to expect either, we spoke to the doctor and the physio pretty early just to say, look, this is where we're at, what do we have to do now, what are the steps? It was very difficult, it was so hard, constantly with little white lies and not being able to tell the team, particularly post World Cup. There was lots of players saying, we can't wait to have you back on the pitch, when are you fit? It's going to be awesome to have you back playing in the squad. And I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to be back playing.
You're like,
And it was really tough for me. It was, I really hope my teammates don't feel like I've let them down. Because I think everyone was so excited about the momentum that I think particularly, Bristol and the Red Roses had picked up over the last year. And everyone was so looking forward to getting fired back into club season. And then I was so nervous about telling them because I wouldn't be part of that. I'd still try and contribute as much as I can, but I wouldn't be on the pitch. So it was tough.
Yeah, so you've got the 26 weeks full paid. You've got support person as well. So for games, if you need help, you can bring someone along and all those costs are met. So if we look at the key details of the policy, are you happy?
It's huge, if we go on tour, to be able to bring your baby along with you as well as a support person. If we're going to South Africa for 3 weeks, to be able to do that, that's unbelievable. I think it'll just be the translation of on paper to in practice in real life. And it's going to be a learning curve for everyone.
Okay, so the policy will work really well for the contracted England Red Rose players. I guess if we were to think a bit wider, then you've got a whole load of players who aren't contracted. You've also got referees as well. What do you see the future looking like? And do you see, I guess, a league whereby there is a blanket maternity policy?
Yeah, and this is why, some people say you're sharing this quite publicly. I'm sharing it quite publicly to put a spotlight on it because there has not been a spotlight on it. And for me, the hope is that talking about this, getting as much kind of media attention as possible, gets other people thinking. I want to see Wales, Scotland, other nations introducing their policy, as soon as possible. It's about sharing best practice. I shouldn't be treated, and I wouldn't expect to be treated any different to a player at Bristol who isn't full-time and isn't professional. And that should be the case at every single club.
Do you ever think there might be a scenario where you are back, but you may be a bit apprehensive about putting it all out on the line because you've got more now, you've got more responsibilities, you've got somebody else to think about?
I probably think about, will it affect me mentally on pitch? Will it, I think I have a bit of an edge on pitch as a player, like a tough player to go against, like I'd never take a backward step. I can be an aggressive player in a good way. And I think, will that change? Will that alter? Will I mellow? And as much as I think, particularly, especially if your child's watching, like, am I going to be first to get into it a scrap or, And the answer is, I don't know.
Might there be a situation whereby you're loving motherhood so much that you actually say, you know what, I have 61 caps, World Cups, Grand Slams, Premier 15s title, actually, I'm good. 100%,
and that is going to be one of those things that I have no idea about.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a mum, that unconditional love, that experience. I've been told about it, but I think until you have it firsthand, you just have no idea. But I also think about why I love rugby and the people I'm around, and I can't think of any better environment to bring up a child into, whether they're a boy or a girl, to be surrounded by so many strong women, all different shapes and sizes, the values that rugby has, that respect, that teamwork, everything being around family. I want to share that with them and bring them into that environment.
So if you were to leave, I guess, a parting note to everybody watching this interview, what would you say?
For me, it's showing to all the girls that it's an option now. You have a choice. Your hand isn't going to be forced. It isn't rugby or be a mum. It's you can do both.